And hello again. Welcome back to my channel, Romel, Private Investigator. I'm Romel, and my company is Access Diversified Investigations. What I'm looking to talk to you about today is surveillance. Now, another term would be stakeout, depending on what type of surveillance you are actually engaged in. Now, this is primarily for inspiring private investigators, and certainly if you're an existing private investigator, you may find this helpful as well. I encourage you to watch the entire video. This information is very informative, and at the end of the day, this is free information. You don't have to pay anything except attention. If you have a short attention span, then surveillance is probably something you may want to reconsider in your private investigative practices. You are going to want to prepare yourself as best possible for a good or favorable stakeout and or surveillance experience. So prior to going out, some of the things you need to be looking at is the demographics of the neighborhood. Dress accordingly, objectively. You want to, this is a situation where you do in fact want to blend in as much as you reasonably can for almost obvious reasons. Other factors are associated with the vehicle, whatever vehicle you have. You do not want to bring out a very noticeable vehicle. Sometimes you can't help that, but nonetheless, you want to keep that. You certainly want to keep that in mind. If you have the ability or the time to get out to the area beforehand, get out to the area, see what the lay of the land looks like. And keep in mind, when we talk about surveillance, or at least when I do, I'm not always talking about a situation where we're talking about a vehicle. Sometimes a vehicle is in play and sometimes not. You can have surveillance where you may be in a playground waiting for someone to show up. You may be in a building waiting for someone to show up. You certainly may be on the streets waiting for someone to show up. So all of these things have to be kept in mind prior to you going out to the area of surveillance. Surveillance is not always about a cheating spouse, be it man or woman. There are all types of frauds that take place, especially with insurance companies. It brings one of my cases to mind, where a gentleman in his 50s, as best that I can recall, had an accident at his workplace, and he had an active claim he was being paid on as a result of his injury. And basically, his claim was that he could barely walk. He certainly couldn't use his extremities, in particular his arms. And so somehow the insurance company wanted to validate that. So voila, here I come, private investigator on the way. So in any event, as I get out to the location now, this was a train, I believe it was in, if you're familiar with New York, it was Queens. I don't remember exactly where, but it was a elevated train station. There was construction taking place. And so I'm looking at the different lay of the land. I had a picture of the subject and just a little rumor with respect to where he might be found. I managed to find that area. Now I'm on the other side of the platform. I had a clandestine a body camera on me, and I'm watching him just in general. Now, what some people do is as a little prop, they'll carry a newspaper. Sometimes that can be a bit conspicuous, with the exception of everyone else doing the same. If that be the case, you have a newspaper under your arm. Certainly, you could extend it in front of you just to create some degree of cover. Anyway, to make a long story short, or to shorten a long story, however it goes, what happened was I was able to get even closer to him. Let me tell you what homeboy did. I shouldn't say homeboy. He was an older guy. In any event, what he did, he had a very large electric buzz saw. He picked that buzz saw up, threw it over his shoulder, walked the distance, took it off his shoulder. Oh my God, did he bend over? He bent over and he started to use that saw back and forth, twisting looked like he was doing a little jig of some sort. Nonetheless, you get the picture. Clearly, whatever was wrong with his back has been corrected. I'm just saying. So, again, keep that in mind with respect to when we talk about surveillance, stakeout, observation. I'm going to give you something else to think about. This is powerful. Embed this in your mindset. When we think about surveillance, we oftentimes think about where we can go, how we can set ourselves up so we are the least visible possible. And I submit to you is that's a rarity. The only exception may be if you're in an extremely rural area where you have that type of space where you could use binoculars without being seen or recognized. Outside of that, if you're sitting anywhere for an inordinate period of time, you will be noticed. Some people will say something. That something may be a casual conversation throughout the community. What's that guy over there for? He's been there for a while. Or it could be a woman investigator. And so we're left with that concept that we get in our basic class training. You have to find a place or the place least conspicuous. Well, if you do that, do you still have an advantage or any type of reasonable view with respect to the individual you may be looking for? Distance is a factor and must be considered. How in the hell do you get around that? How do you do it? So, my answer to that question is this. I'm giving you a new concept. Pay close attention. A new concept. Hiding in plain sight. Whoa, ho, ho, ho. Let it sink in. Let it sink in. Hiding in plain sight. What are you talking about? Allow me to elaborate. In hiding in plain sight, you are hiding what you're doing. You are finding ways to get people to think about what you're doing other than what you are specifically doing. When I say plain sight, listen, if you're sitting in a car in the middle of the day and you've been there for a considerable period of time, you can't hide anything other than what you're doing. Most people will know that you're there, and if you're there that long, you must be looking for somebody. So where am I going with this? Follow me. Follow me on this one. There are things that you could do. One, for example, further down, but on the opposite side of the street. This was your strategic parking. So what happens is you get out of your vehicle. Now remember, you are on the opposite side of the street of the subject you're looking for. You get out of your vehicle, you walk into a building that is right next to your vehicle. You're in that vehicle for, you're in that building for a short period of time. You come out, you look at your watch, still you're a little upset, perhaps you're anxious, waiting for someone, get back into your car, put your hands back in a comfort sort of way, lay back in your vehicle. Now, when people see something like that, their automatic assumption is going to be that whoever you're looking for is in that building right next to where your car is. In reality, you're looking for someone on the opposite side of the street, further down, let's say perhaps near the corner. So what happens is, as people begin to talk, and they will talk like nobody's business. When they have these conversations, oh, that guy's been there for a while. He's looking for someone in that building. They are going to make that assessment. Now, as that's happening, perhaps the person that you are actually looking for is on the other side of the street, moving towards the area that you are most concerned with. The likelihood of someone saying something to that person, be it male or female, is very, very unlikely. As opposed to someone, almost anyone on the other side of the street, they may say, listen, this guy's been out there for a while. He might be looking for you. Just giving you a heads up. Concern? But you've prepared yourself by taking, that's one of the techniques that's available to you at that understanding of hiding in plain sight. Now, still another technique that can be helpful is, especially when you're on long surveillance, and surveillance is taking longer than what you anticipated, your stakeout, if you will. So now what happens is, okay, what do you do? Now we're talking broad daylight still. So what do? Get out of your vehicle. Get out of your vehicle. Again, you want to look as though you're waiting for someone, and there's nothing wrong with that. Draw attention to yourself. Draw that attention. In that process, go to your trunk. Pretend to be looking for something. Perhaps even bring something out of the trunk. If it's no more than a little bottle of water. Go back to your car. Roll the windows down. Play your music. Play your music. Relax your body. In all practical purposes, here's what people are most likely going to think. As opposed to, now hone in on this, as opposed to, he must be looking for someone. He must be looking for someone, as opposed to, oh, he's probably just waiting for somebody. You see the difference? He's probably just waiting for somebody. It works, and it could make an incredible difference, especially with some people who may get so concerned with you having been there for a considerable period of time. They'll call the police. The police come, you tell the police what's going on. They see the police move away as though it's nothing. Oh, he must be a cop. Nice, now you're a cop. It happens. It truly, truly happens. Hang on for a second. Now, what you need to know is I intentionally made this video a bit short because surveillance covers just a magnitude of strategies and so forth. And it certainly wouldn't be fair to try to cover all of that in one singular video. Now, even though some persons or some people have an attention span, let's say, greater than others, at the end of the day, if it's very, very, very caught up in volume, then it's information that at some point someone's likely to turn away. And I try to keep that in mind because you need to see all of this information, be it in bits and pieces or otherwise. It's helpful. In some cases, when you're out on surveillance, depending on the neighborhood you're in, and you better be mindful, people see you there too long, you're going to have a visit, and it won't be the police. I'm just saying. You need to know. I'm putting these videos out for the educational value and worth. And certainly, as I said earlier, they are not at any cost. I encourage you strongly, if you appreciate and you find this information useful, and only if that be the case, mind you, make sure you subscribe, leave a comment, hit the likes up, as a lot of people are saying, smash up the likes. I got to get used to that. That's new for me. But nonetheless, you understand what I'm trying to say. It enables me to bring this information to you, not just with respect to having it on a platform, but having it on a platform with consistency. And in any situation, the more consistent you are with anything, the better off it is for those persons you're trying to create some favorable, interesting, and informative content for. So, that having been said, subscribe, uh, hit the bell, leave a comment, and as I always say, dream with purpose, act with intent. Have a good one.